Welcome to the next evolution in college football analysis. We created a groundbreaking algorithm that provides some of the most accurate and interesting insights into the sport. This is JBall. Hello and welcome to the very first inaugural episode of what we are calling JBall.
Yeah.
Very exciting. This is several months in the making, and very excited to get this started here. And man, let me tell you, a lot of work has gone into this. A lot of work, but I hope that it pays off long term, and I hope that everyone sees why we put so much hard work into this, because I think you and I genuinely believe that we're onto something here.
I hope so.
I really, really think that we're onto something. So anyway, let's dive right in.
Well,
First,
hold on. Who are we?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Who are we? Let's dive in.
I'm Joseph. This is Jacob.
I'm Jacob. As you can guess, that's where the J comes from in JBall. So, and if you can't tell, we're brothers.
Yeah, we are brothers.
We're brothers. We're related. Yes.
Yeah. When I have my glasses, it's super clear. But no, I had this idea a few months ago that it was towards the end of college basketball season. I'm thinking, well, college basketball has a ton of metrics to choose from that you can use to analyze teams and all of that. And I know that there are metrics for college football, but they don't really get talked about. And they, as far as I know, they don't get used. To be honest, I don't really know what goes into how the college football playoff committee
it's kind of a mystery, isn't it?
And we wanted to build something like what Ken Pom has done for basketball. If you're not familiar with Ken Pom, he has built an efficiency rating for college basketball that rates every team in Division I, and gives you an idea of who's the best, who's the worst, and everyone in between. And it does a pretty good job of predicting which team is better than the other. And
wouldn't that be nice, we thought? Wouldn't that be nice if there was something comparable to use in college football? Because I think that we can all agree, and I don't think we're alone in this, but I think we can agree that there have been some serious head-scratcher moments during the college football playoff era as to the committee did this?
Yeah.
Why'd they do that?
And
we want to know why did they make this decision? What happened in that boardroom that we don't know about? You know what?
Yeah. And to be clear, this is not going to be an anti-playoff committee
Absolutely
show.
Not.
But as we're going to get deeper into this, honestly, some of the decisions they make may make more sense.
They may make more sense with some of the information here.
Some of them will look worse, some will look better, but
I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think one of the main motivations here into what we've developed, which we have called the JBall rating system.
Mm-hmm.
But I think one of the main motivations is, what if we could create a tool that could be used by someone like the College Football Playoff Committee? Not to say that they are or will. Wouldn't that be awesome if they did? But what if we had something that could more accurately, similarly to how Ken Pom does with college basketball, something to actually tell us, how good is this team? How good are they? Because, I mean, numbers are one thing, but the schedules are so different. The leagues, the difficulty of the teams being played, it's so vastly different across all of FBS. How on earth can you adequately gauge with 12 games in a season who the best team is, and from that be a contributing factor in determining whether or not a team maybe is deserving to be in the playoff?
Yeah, and if we take a look at the history of college football, it's not the most, at least in terms of ranking teams, it's not the most analytical. I feel like I'm fair
Absolutely.
in saying that.
It's a little bit of a popularity contest sometimes. It's brand recognition. Absolutely.
Well, so that's what I wanted to get at. For most of the history of the sport, it has literally been a popularity contest.
Oh, my word.
Where it's moving in the right direction now. But for most of college football history, how was the national champion determined?
Right.
No,
Right.
how no, I want an answer here.
An answer? You want an answer? How is
yeah,
it determined?
No, how was it determined for most of?
All the reporters got together and voted.
Yes, actually, that is literally it.
All the guys writing the newspaper columns got together.
And they voted on who they thought the best.
All their
team
bias
was.
included. Right.
We're in the middle of we're towards the tail end of the World Cup as we're recording this episode.
Yep.
And imagine that all the different soccer teams in the world just played who they wanted.
Whoever.
Just whoever. And then at the
Cupcake
end of
State, Cupcake U.
And then at the end of the year, all the soccer writers get together, and then they say, "Well, I think it's Argentina. Well, I think it's England. I think it's France. France lost today, but
and to be fair, the current college football playoff committee, ESPN, has a seat at the table.
Implicitly.
So I mean, imagine you had Telemundo, right?
Telemundo
getting
deciding.
in there and deciding. You are the world champion. Telemundo decides by popular decision, Portugal is the World Cup champion this year because we really like Ronaldo.
No, and to be clear, I don't know that that's happening.
No idea.
But so as time has gone on, we've taken steps in the right direction. If your main goal is determining a national champion, a true national champion, I think they're moving in that direction. You had
a lot of good movement.
Well, first you had the BCS, where at least you were guaranteed a championship game every year,
right.
which was not guaranteed.
So it wasn't a popularity, or wasn't just a simple vote. You had to play.
Yeah.
You had to play someone.
Yes, but still...
You had to play someone, and you had to win.
But still, you had 2 polls and a computer system picking who they thought the top 2 teams were, and then they just play each other for the title.
Right.
Now, you have a metric system there that works for it, but then 2/3 of that is polls. And as we're going to find out here, polls are deceptive.
No. No. You're really?
Yeah. So we've taken steps in the right direction. Now we've got the playoff. Started at 4, now it's up to 12 teams. There's movement towards getting it bigger. Through all of that, there's been one stat, I think, that has weighed much more heavily than any other in terms of how people have ranked teams historically, and that is the loss column.
The loss column. Who did you lose to?
Yeah, it doesn't matter really who you beat.
Mm-hmm.
Is number 1, are you in a power conference? Number 2, did you lose more than 1 game? And that's been the metric. And as we're going to see, that there is so much variability that can go on within that.
Absolutely right.
Like, and especially now and you touched on this just a moment ago, we've got super conferences now, which I don't know, may not necessarily be a bad thing, but now
it's very obvious who the really tough schedule conferences are and who are not.
Well, and even within the same conference now, I don't have the data to check this right at the moment, but I'm sure that across all of the Power 4 leagues, within the conference, there are multiple sets of teams that have 1 or 2 opponents in common. And with the move now towards divisionless conferences, it's so much of how many games you lose now are the luck of the draw for your schedule. So you've got imbalanced schedules, you've got schools choosing their own non-conference opponents, and then you've got a committee that is trying to take all of this data and just, for lack of a better term, guess who the top 12 teams in the country are to put into a playoff. Now, that there are automatic qualifiers now that we can get into that. But like in college basketball, now we've got at-large bids for the tournament. It's a playoff here, but it's a tournament. Yeah. And so where you have at-large bids and you have so many teams that don't and will not play each other in the regular season,
how can you really gauge?
Yeah, and it's been oversimplified to the. You say, well, they lost 0 games and this team lost 1 game, so the team that lost 0 games is better.
Clearly.
It's just
clearly.
Yeah.
Even though the team that lost 0 games, and no offense to the particular conference, but 0 games in the Sun Belt versus someone who lost 2 in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
The logic doesn't add up.
No, and that's not how the committee approaches it, but
No.
they've more or less treated every Power 5, now Power 4 schedule the same.
Right.
Where it's like, well, you're a power team and you lost 1 game, so you are exactly the same as this other power team that lost 1 game. With some exceptions, which they do pick and choose sometimes, and then they do they reference the eye test. An eye test sounds like going to the eye doctor and getting your glasses prescription and
Gotcha.
doing your eye test. It's watching teams play and just more or less deciding based on feel who's better. And okay, have you watched this movie yet? Have you watched Moneyball yet?
I have seen many clips.
Okay, no, so you
but not the whole.
So you haven't seen the movie. That's a no.
I know the premise, though. I do know the premise.
What's the premise of Moneyball?
The premise is that you don't necessarily care about anything other than what ends up winning the game.
Yes.
You, at the end of the day, at least in that movie, in baseball.
I think in every sport.
And in every sport, but specifically in baseball, what matters is getting on base, getting hits, and scoring, right?
Yes. You
translate that to any other sport. You want to score
and prevent the other team from
scoring so that you can win. And all of your decisions should be geared toward that.
Yes. It shouldn't necessarily be geared towards things like batting average or RBIs or things like that. Certainly those things can be indicators that a player contributes to winning.
Right.
But they can also be deceptive, and that's what in Moneyball, what Brad Pitt's character takes advantage of for a team that has to play baseball on a budget. Well, we're not talking about baseball, but in football, there's so many stats that we talk about. We talk about yards per carry and yards per game and number of first downs and touchdown to interception ratio, time of possession, all of that. And again, I wouldn't call those wastes at all. Certainly, actually not. Those definitely can and a lot of times do indicate that a team is playing well. But you want to get down to the base of what winning a football game looks like. And what is that? It sounds stupid when you say it out loud, but it's scoring points and stopping the other team from scoring points.
Score, stop the other team from
And
scoring.
however you play football, whatever style of offense or defensive scheme you run, whatever range your kicker has, whatever clock management skills your coach does or doesn't have, all of that is built towards those two goals, to score and to stop your opponent from scoring. And so when you get down to that and you only focus on that, well, then when you cut away everything else and you get down to just points scored, points allowed, then you start to see some really interesting insights about how good a team might be compared to another team.
Okay.
And so, with all of that said, we have put together the JBall rating.
The JBall rating. Absolutely.
You want to put that up?
I'm gonna put that up, and let me premise this by saying that this is part of why we think that this works. Okay, and what we've built here. So Joseph, just a little bit of your background here, from more of so you talk about your qualifications or education, at least what you've contributed to the product, and I'd say that's more on the algorithm mathematical side.
Yeah, so I studied economics in college, and so that has a heavy focus on math, on stats, and even on game theory. And that, I think, has lent itself into, I did have the idea for putting together a mathematical equation to put a number to how good a team is. And then on your side, you taken that mathematical idea and
I haven't been able to put a nice wrapper around it, but basically to take all the math behind it. So my background, professionally, I work in the field of software engineering, and especially lately, the incorporation of AI-assisted tools to develop and produce high-quality software that fully understands or encapsulates here, I will say, and adequately and appropriately represents in code the mathematical side of things, and also to display a good UI to be able to interact with the data and see exactly what we've got. So both of those things put together. So and that mixed with the fact that both of us are lifelong college football fans.
Yes.
And from that, purely by being fans, feel like have a vested interest and maybe obsession with some of this. Every time football season comes around, we get the itch like everyone else does. You can feel it in the air. There's football coming. So all of that together, we feel like we're able to do something here. So let's
just to get this disclosure out of the way at the beginning. Yes, we used AI to
we help. Absolutely did.
We used AI to build this. Now, there's a difference between
telling the AI, do it for us, and telling the AI, help us to put this math into code, and to take that code and display something nice that users can interact with.
So if any of you see something you don't like on here, or it says something bad about your team, and you want to get in there and say, oh, you asked AI to do it for you, and it did a bad job. No. Okay, no. This is
We've
our
been
idea.
Very deliberate about the math going on behind here. We've done a lot of auditing, going in and checking a lot of the data, and
this is something that it would have taken
I would say
a larger team of people a longer amount of time to do just by brute force.
Absolutely.
And getting this in. No, we don't want to bore everyone with the tech.
We won't bore them with the tech side of things. So let's get into it here.
We used AI. It is what it is. We still do know what we're talking about, and
and we are excited about this.
We're not anti-AI.
We're not anti-AI. We're not pro-AI necessarily. We use it responsibly.
Yeah.
So full disclosure, get that out of the way there.
Okay.
But here we are. So lo and behold, we have the JBall rating system here. And this is the user interface that we have put together to represent all the data here. And as you can see, we've got first pulled up the 2025 season, which is the most recently completed college football season.
And we have week by week records now of the entire playoff era. So that's the 2014 season all the way up until now. Would you look at who we have as the number one team in the country at the end of 2025? Or I should say at the end of the 2025 regular season, and we'll get into that.
And you'll see here we have a little icon with a trophy. This was actually a last second edition that was your idea. But just to indicate, I mean, as you can see there, CFP champion.
And that's not saying they were number one on our list. It's saying they won the actual national championship.
Right. It means so that's just a way. Right. That's just a way of indicating that is the team that ended up winning the college football playoff. And it so happens that for 2025, that they did top the list when it comes to our rating system.
Okay.
As overall representing here that they were overall a better team according to our system than everyone else in the country.
Yep. And we do have their record there, and they went 13-0. Okay, right. And you know what? It was really easy for everyone else to vote them number one. Mm-hmm. And okay, you know what? Fine, but we didn't vote on this. This is what the data says. They say Indiana was, at least during the regular season, the best team in college football.
And I do want to point out here another point of disclosure, and just to kind of point out, so where on earth is all this data coming from? What are we doing? So what we've done with the software that I've written is that we're consuming what we would call in the software world an API, but we're consuming a data source here. I have pulled data down from a very well-regarded, well-known data source for all things college football. And I mean, we've pulled many data points, play by play, even week by week, team by team.
We pay for this data.
And we paid for access to this data. Yes. So yeah, everything there. So we're pulling a lot of data points in all of this to make this algorithm happen.
We're getting possession by possession data every FBS game since 2014.
Well, and not even just possession by possession. I mean, it's play by play.
Play by play since 2014. Every game.
Right.
Thousands of games.
Right. And thousands upon thousands of rows of data within our database to make this happen. So that's where the data is coming from.
So, and we're going to walk you through how we get to this number, because anyone can make a table like this and say, well, look, my number says this team is the best. No, we're going to walk through what this actually means, and we're going to go from left to right. And the number on the right is what we're ranking these teams by.
Our overall column here.
Everything to the left of that is what goes into that. So starting from the left, next to the record, we've got ADJO. That's adjusted offensive efficiency.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah. So, without getting too deep into it, we measure how many points a team scores every time it has the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what does having the ball mean? Well, that means anytime your team controls it.
Right.
Now, that, of course, includes offensive drives, but that also includes
special teams.
Special teams like returns, interceptions, fumble recoveries, things like that. If you have the ball,
right,
then we measure how many points you scored every time you had the ball.
Yep.
So, you field the opening kickoff, drive down the field, score a touchdown, kick the extra point. Okay, 7 points for that drive.
So according to the data here, or at least what we're displaying here, is that the higher the score that you have for your adjusted offense, we're basically saying that is the higher the number, the more efficient of an offense that you have. Yes. Holistically, not specific to just your offensive team, but also the contributions that your special teams and your defense have towards ball possession and points scored.
Yes. And we take how many points you score per possession, I guess we can call it that.
Mhm.
And we compare that against the national average for points scored per possession. And then we also take into account the team that you're playing.
Mhm.
And so
And that's a big part of it.
yeah. And
That's
so
a huge part of it.
yes. So if you put up a bunch of points against an FCS school, it's not going to matter as much as if you put up a bunch of points against Georgia.
And I think that's important to point out about the nature of the algorithm that we put together as well, is that we're putting together this data and calculating things in a way where we are, as the season progresses, the quality of the opponents that you play that week, as well as previous opponents that you've played, okay, the math, the math is run. The algorithm runs every single week, and it does, and it changes week by week based on say for example at the beginning or close to say first half of the season you play an opponent that, let's say the numbers say that they look really, really strong and they're playing really, really well. A win against that opponent and scoring well against them would have a higher effect on your adjusted offensive output here than, let's say, at the end of the year, it turns out that the team that you had played, say the numbers start to show that, oh, well, maybe they weren't that great after all, then we're not going to disproportionately reward, right, a productive game against a team that ends up not being terribly great.
Well, yeah, because how many times in week 1 or 2 does a team you beat someone that's ranked high in the polls that week? Because for whatever reason,
because it's the AP.
No,
it's the
for
AP.
whatever reason, there are preseason polls, and
we've not had a chance to see anyone play.
No,
we don't know.
So you start your season and you get what appears to be a really impressive win, and then as the season goes on, the team you beat appears to not.
It's not quite as impressive looking back.
And you also might not appear to be as good as everyone thought you were at the beginning of the season. But
so just because you beat someone that's ranked top 10 at the beginning of the season is not, it doesn't mean anything if by the it means something, but it doesn't mean nearly as much if by the end of the year that team is not ranked nearly as high in our system.
But the perception of that performance by everyone can stick around in the polls
absolutely
for months.
Yeah.
To say, oh, well, they beat a ranked team. Well, what is that?
They were ranked at the time.
That they beat a team that was voted as being good before the season.
And we hear that a lot when it comes to the college football playoff discussion every season. We're trying to decide who deserves to make it in. And we hear that a lot where people say, well, they have X
ranked
number
wins.
of ranked wins. And it's like, okay, well, that's all well and great, but you're absolutely right. At the end of the day, I mean, that's not a data-driven decision. That is a poll by the AP, by journalists. And I mean, they were ranked at the time, okay? But after a whole season of data, I mean, you have to look at things and say, okay, well, they were ranked high at the time. They're not ranked very high right now, or maybe not even at all. And so anyway, so we're trying to fairly and accurately adjust week by week throughout each season.
So no brands.
The quality of your wins.
No brands, no emotion, no past history comes into
It's purely data driven. And then can you just kind of briefly, high level, kind of touch on the particular methodology that this is called, of going week by week, that were to narrow things down to a I believe, was it convergence?
Yes, convergence. And that's
explain to us non-stats folks.
Okay, so
convergence.
And I want to get into the rest of this, but convergence. So man, this it's a lot harder to explain. No, so what you do is, like I said, we're trying to adjust for who you play against. And what you do is you compare but the thing is that the team that you played, their performance factors into how they're perceived.
Mhm.
And their performance includes playing against you. And you can't just exclude that, because that matters, and vice versa. Like, what you do affects them. And if you just do it, if you just run this one time, everyone appears to be, it doesn't tell you a lot.
Mhm.
So, but if you run it over and over again, this value, and this value at the end, the overall
The overall.
score, it's gonna change every time you run it, as you run it over and over again, but it starts to converge to a point. And we have a limit set in place where, as once the convergence and the change falls below a certain level and you can tell what it's converging towards, then we
Mhm.
stop.
Right.
And so that's how you're able to adjust for who you're playing.
Mhm.
Let's keep going across the.
Let's keep going.
Yeah.
So we've talked about our
Adjusted
adjusted offense. Okay.
Adjusted defense is the same idea but flipped. It's how many points are you allowing every time your opponent has the ball.
Right. So when you are not in active possession of the football, how much, or how many points are you giving up? How detrimental is it to the overall outcome of the game?
Yes, and you want this number to be low.
Low. And because as you can see here, the way that the math, and we've put this into the UI, but the way that the math goes out. So if we go between adjusted offense, adjusted defense, we subtract that value from our adjusted offense. So the lower the number, the better. The less of an impact that it has on your overall score.
Defense number,
the lower the defensive number.
Yeah. And then you get something that you've labeled here, a raw efficiency metric.
Right.
Which is points scored per drive. And this is, I don't want to mislead everyone. I'm not saying that Indiana scored 6.2 points per drive. That's not what I mean.
No.
But like your offensive performance minus your defensive performance, and then that gives you a raw number, and you want that number to be positive, and you want it to be as high as possible.
Absolutely. Now, let's take a look here. So as you can see, so that's the raw efficiency metric, okay? Now, why do we call it raw? Well, it's because we actually adjust that a little bit. And this is where we get over here. So we have a cap delta, so a change here. So explain for us. Let's go in depth on what this cap is meant to be. And this is the other thing I think I'm really excited about with our algorithm and with our system here, because because there are some factors that come into play, and there's some things that happen in situations where you have blowout games.
Yes.
Hey, let's talk about that.
So let's pretend now for a second that this was how teams were actually ranked. It's not. Like, this isn't used to rank teams. I would love if it was.
It would be awesome if it was factored into that decision, but someday.
But let's say that this was the official system.
Right.
Then you're playing a weak opponent, and now you are heavily incentivized to run up the score against that opponent, especially if it's a weak opponent, because now, well, we're adjusting for opponent strength here, so if it's a weak opponent, you want to...
It doesn't have as much of an effect unless you really, really score.
You want to put up a huge number, so that you're up 42-0 going into the fourth quarter. Well, common sense says pull your starters, go for the win, and play it safe.
And that's usually what happens in these situations. When you have a blowout football game, you'll see from both teams, even once you get to a point where logically there's no changing the outcome of this game, you will see both squads start to pull out their starters, throw in some of the lower class, some freshmen. Sometimes.
I mean, like, the winning team, yes.
Most often the winning team. Losing team, they might keep them in there, make a valiant effort. Right.
Yeah, and so you don't want... you don't want to incentivize blowouts, and not that they care about our metric
Well,
right
we
now.
don't want to
but
disproportionately
we don't
reward blowouts.
we don't want our data to be corrupted by blowouts.
Right.
And so if you look at Indiana here,
Mm-hmm.
their cap adjustment, it lowers their efficiency by 1.789, which, correct me if I'm wrong, but
that's one of the higher ones on
I think that
here.
may be the highest in
and
the
we
country.
we can sort, actually. So if we go right here, there we go. So it is.
Yeah. And so, and by the way, if you're an Indiana fan watching this is a good thing, not a bad thing, because it means that your team was so dominant
on the field
time that every game
we have
had
to
be capped.
We have to make an adequate adjustment to make sure that, because we got to keep this fair. But I mean, it's absolutely true. It means your team was so dominant in each of their performances that in order to keep things statistically relevant, we have had to cap.
Yes,
that's this much of a margin.
That's a good way of putting it. Statistically relevant. So we're not trying to kneecap a team for being good here, but it's like we're
trying to preserve the integrity of the data.
And
yep.
Yeah, and if you watched Indiana last year and the beatdowns they put on people,
it was impressive. It was impressive.
Oh no! What do you? Oh, come on!
I think it's worth.
Okay, go ahead.
It's worth celebrating.
Go ahead.
Indiana.
No one can see what you're doing.
Indiana
but
were the winners.
Yep, there we go. Yep.
That's for all you Indiana fans
that
may or may not be watching. Yeah. They did. They had a really great season, and that's reflected both in the results. They won the playoff and in our data.
By the way, if you're an Indiana fan watching, thank you. Please keep watching. Please don't stop watching.
Keep watching. Share with your friends, and I think it's we would love to see this take off a little bit, because we really do believe in the data here. So
we don't have a Twitter handle yet at the time of recording. We will once this gets posted.
Right.
So follow us there. Anyway, so you adjust for the cap, and you've got your cap deficiency metric. And by that metric, still says Indiana is the most efficient team in the country. They're the best at scoring and, well, okay. How do I put this? They're the best all-around team at scoring and not allowing your opponent to score.
Okay.
Which is how you win football games.
That's how you win. That's how you win.
Now, you're going to see here, there's...
So all of that. So we take our raw efficiency metric and we apply the cap that has been calculated.
And we've got a cap.
And from that we get a cap efficiency metric. And as you can see, it's a lot more leveled out here. It's not quite as broad as you see. We have 5.5 at the raw, and then all the way at the bottom, -2. Right.
UMass.
So
if you watched every UMass game last year,
I applaud you.
How many?
If you are a UMass fan and
Jacob, how many UMass games did you watch last year?
I didn't watch a single one.
Oh, really? Shame on you.
Yeah. But you know what? If you're a UMass fan and you watched every single game, I gotta.
We salute you.
We salute you.
You are what makes college football.
You are what makes college football great. Those that stick with their teams.
We need you. I'm not even joking. We need you.
Absolutely.
Stick by them. The Minutemen are going to turn it around one day. Maybe.
Stick with it. But you are what makes college football great. So, and you know what? And maybe that's something we're hoping maybe this data someday or another will be insightful for programs and seeing how do we need to develop or further grow our team. Because I would love nothing more than to be the data to be way closer than this is across the board. Wouldn't that be exciting if we had
Well, I don't
100
think
teams.
that's
It's not going to be realistic.
With the way college football is moving right now.
Right. It's
there is the gap is widening, not shrinking. But you'll see here, the second to last column, we have a value called preseason. I know we just talked about this. We're like, oh, you vote on preseason and that doesn't matter. And it's like, oh, okay, I understand that. This isn't votes.
Nope.
This is using data from the previous season.
From the previous season. So what this is representing here, now obviously we don't have anything here, and I actually can't, I apologize for the specific view that I've got here, I can't quite, this drop down here we can usually change.
Yeah.
The week by week breakdown.
If you go to JBallRating.com, you can go and look week by week, and you can see the preseason rating. You can see at the end of the season. Oh, you got it.
Oh, it changed. Oh, you know what? It's not visible in... Okay, well, the drop-down was there, not visible, just hovering. But anyway, but there it is. So there's week 6, for example. Okay?
Yeah.
And would you look at that? That's something really interesting. In the middle of the season, look at what our rating put at number 1.
Notre Dame.
And
at the time, they were 3-2.
They were 3-2, and they were being lambasted by
everyone,
by the media.
But they finished 10-2.
They finished 10-2.
And some would say maybe should have been in the playoff.
Maybe should have been in the playoff.
I'll be honest, I didn't think they should have been. Now, having done this, I've changed my mind. I think they should have been in.
And here we are back at the conference championships.
Because you look now, they're number 3 at the end of the year.
They're number 3.
We'll do a week by week walkthrough of last season eventually, but suffice it to say, Notre Dame and your fans, we apologize. You maybe had something to be mad about last year.
So
that Miami got in and you didn't.
We salute you as well.
Yeah.
That was
it's
according to our data, that was a bit of a
travesty that Miami got in and you didn't. I know that Miami beat you,
but according to our data and our metrics here, when it comes to the over, and again, what we're trying to measure here is not wins and losses. And we do have a record here. The record here represents their record at this point in the season, but the record is we're not measuring anywhere in any of our data.
No,
this is purely cosmetic.
It's
here.
for reference. And the reason behind that is you can play really well against a great team and lose. And you can play really poorly against a bad team and win.
Mm-hmm.
It is possible in the current college football landscape, and it happens every week.
And what was it? I mean, it wasn't. It was only a couple seasons ago where Notre Dame, right? I believe it was at Northern Illinois.
They lost at home to Northern
Illinois. And yet, and we can look at this in a future episode probably. We can look at some of this, but I mean, that season they were still rated pretty well and high by the end of the year.
And then they made the title game.
And so, and part of that is the reason why we love college football. And that's, and so again, what we're trying to get at this rating system here, we're not measuring wins and losses. We are measuring how good of a team that you have. Granted, as long as everyone shows up to play.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. These are students. These are kids. These are not professionals. Some of them very well might be. And there's an argument to be made that last season Indiana.
Well, they are professionals.
That was a team
in
of.
A sense.
Now they are more so now. But right, it really depends. So how good is your team? The potential for your team to succeed, and that's what we're really measuring. How high quality of a makeup of a team do you have?
And to be clear, we're not saying that wins and losses don't matter.
They're everything. They do absolutely matter.
Herm Edwards, you play to win the game.
You play to win the game.
And that is the point of football. That's the point of every sport. You play to win. And we understand that. This isn't
a substitute.
This isn't a substitute for the playoff rankings. We're not saying that because scroll.
A system like ours.
Look right there. You've got, where's Penn State at?
Penn State is at 15.
Number 15.
At 6-6.
And right below them at 16.
Arkansas.
And we're gonna talk. We're gonna have
10.
We're gonna have an episode all about Arkansas later.
We're a little bit. We've kind of become covert Arkansas fans in the process of this.
We're converted Arkansas fans now because they went 2-10 last year, and
our metric has them.
We're the 16th most efficient team in the country.
And that speaks to the quality of the Southeastern Conference as well. Yeah, and again, this can all be addressed moving forward.
You can look at this and say, well, our metric stinks. I don't know, maybe you have a point, but no, I
We're pretty
think
confident that
if
it's
you
not,
go,
though.
but if you're an Arkansas fan, you're looking at this and you're going, I knew it. I knew it. We were right on the
Or
edge.
maybe you didn't know it. Maybe you have been wallowing
Well, they
in
had
serious doubt.
If you look at their schedule, they had so many close calls
So
last
many.
year, and against really good teams,
and against
and
SEC squads, and so even with a 2-10 record, didn't qualify for a bowl game. And after a season like that, that's a kind of season that makes people question, okay, is it time to overhaul the program? Yet, our rating system puts them at 16th in the country when it comes to efficiency. And so that's what I think we really hope. Somewhere down the road that something like this, our system, can be used not only by fans, but potentially even these programs to say, okay, were we really that bad? No. They actually were really,
Well,
it could just be a few small adjustments. They are by record.
They're bad in that their season was a failure.
It was a failure in that because winning does matter. You play to win the game. But
their players and their schemes
were good.
Aren't that far.
They're not that far. And I think looking at something like this, this isn't it would be something to say if you have a 2-10 record and you're sitting down at 100 somewhere on this rating. Then at that point, it's probably time to overhaul the program.
There are plenty of teams down
plenty
there.
of them. But I think at this point, you have a 2-10 record, but you're sitting at 16 on the rating system. I mean, you're not looking at needing to overhaul the program. You're looking at a couple of small adjustments that are well within reach, and Arkansas could become a powerhouse within the Southeastern Conference. They could. So again, we can go over this at some point in the future. We plan to, because this is a fascinating piece of data. We've seen a bit of consistency from Arkansas over the years.
The last thing I want to explain about this rating system, you'll notice that these records are all what the records were at the end of the regular season. Well, no, at the end of the regular season.
Of conference championship.
Yeah, we're counting conference championship week as part of the regular season.
Right.
And we went back and forth about including postseason play in this.
We did.
And really it comes down to, okay, the playoff obviously matters a ton.
Mm-hmm.
That goes without saying. You know that. The rest of the postseason has gotten weird.
Mm-hmm.
Bowl games have gotten weird. And you've got the transfer portal opening before bowl games are played. You have
players deciding they're going to go to the draft, and because of this, they don't want to hurt their draft stock. They don't want to get injured. They're going to sit.
Or they've just quit and they're already on a new team before your team has played a bowl game.
You've fired your coach already, or he's already signed. I mean, like Utah last year with Kyle Whittingham signing with Michigan before they even played their bowl game.
Yeah.
And credit to Utah. I mean, they still dominated in that bowl game. So I mean, we'll do a shout out there.
I gotta be honest. I don't know what they did in their bowl game. What?
They did great. They did great. It's not off the top of my head. I remember that they had a really they had a good showing. It was dominant.
I'm gonna call you on this.
You're gonna call me on this? Oh, I might be wrong. It's worth pointing out in our system that, and this is again another point of controversy, perhaps.
Utah bowl game. They beat Nebraska in the Vegas Bowl 44-22. Okay. Yeah. So they won their bowl game. Okay. Yeah. So. And you have teams like Notre Dame that decided not to play a bowl game. And then on the other side, in the playoff, Indiana played several games, all of which were extremely high stakes. And it just doesn't feel right to
factor those in.
To compare that to the Bahamas Bowl.
Right.
Like nothing against the Bahamas Bowl.
I'd love to go.
Bowl season is incredible, but it's not like the rest of the season. And so with that in mind, we've decided not to factor this in.
It's just better to not even factor it.
And we think that's okay because really what we're looking at with this is we're going to be, as this upcoming 2026 season progresses, we are going to be we'll be giving our own opinions on who we think should be in the playoff. And then by the time the regular season ends and the playoff field has been selected. A rating system like this isn't needed anymore because you've got a tournament in place to find a winner. So, yeah, this is regular season only.
And so going back to the preseason discussion here, so in previous weeks you can see that we factor in a preseason score, and then throughout the year we're gradually moving it away, and we're letting that gradually decay to 0 by the end of the season. The preseason, your efficiency last season has no impact on your efficiency score by the end of the year in our system.
Yeah.
And again, the reason we factor in preseason at all in earlier weeks is because there just simply isn't enough data at that point to adequately measure the team's efficiency. And we need something to go off of.
And we believe it is, at least in some ways, an indicator of what you're going to look like in the coming season.
We have to start wrapping up here, but so all of this together, our adjusted offense minus our adjusted defense, we get our raw efficiency metric. You apply whatever cap, we add whatever cap here, whether that be negative or positive, and then we have our capped efficiency metric, which then we factor in a preseason, end of the year. We don't factor in it at all zeros across the board, and from that we get our overall, and then from there we're able to apply a rank based on our system. So in summary here, okay, our rating system, okay, is meant to measure and to provide, and again, using real numbers. It's a number-based, data-driven way to analyze how strong a football program is, how well their team performs, regardless of wins or losses. And we're not saying whether or not, winning matters, but what we're trying to measure is how good your team is. And hopefully to be able to use something like this, at the end of the year to say, okay, well, there's 2 or 3 teams that their records might look fairly deserving for placement in a playoff. How do we decide between those? And we mentioned this closer to the beginning, but I mean that decision between Notre Dame and Miami that the committee had to go with last season, how, trying to decide between them. Hopefully something like this, could be used at some point in the future to say, okay, well, they were pretty neck and neck. Well, then let's look at this and see efficiency-wise who the stronger team is. Our data pointed to Notre Dame that they should have been the ones to make the playoff.
And hey, Miami made the title game.
They did make the title game.
They made the most of the opportunity was given them. But that doesn't vindicate that the regular season seems to clearly have said that one team was better overall, despite that week 1 matchup. But yeah, that is it. This has been the first episode of JBall.
The very first.
Yep. Thank you so much. Follow us on social media. We'll make sure to get all the relevant information tagged in any description here. Make sure to share this video. There are a lot of fan pages for your schools, for your conferences, among your friends. Hey, Notre Dame fans, Indiana fans, Utah fans, UMass fans, Arkansas fans.
We've given y'all some shout outs.
Hey.
So
Razorback,
share the love.
Razorback Nation.
Razorback Nation.
Come on. We're on your side here.
We're on your side, Arkansas. You're better than you think. We applaud you.
I did not grow up a Razorbacks fan.
Nope.
I may just be one.
Because the data made us such. So, alrighty, let's wrap it up here. Thank you so much for listening in. There's plenty more to come. We're excited to share more insights into what this data does, and looking forward eagerly to the beginning of the 2026 football season. And of course, there'll be more to come as the season progresses there with more data to analyze. This will update weekly throughout the 2026 season. Again, it's JBallRating.com. You can go in and take a look for yourself. And there's some cool tools in here, some historical tools, game analysis, to kind of see how accurate the system is at predicting who could have won each game. There's some cool things. You can break it down by team. So spend some time, look around, and spread the love. We'll check out for now. We'll see you guys next time.